That's one small step for man.
Out for the out for the
right into today's episode. We're discussing accountability. So I'd like to start out like, when's the last time you made a mistake? And then when you made that mistake, what was the voice that you heard in your head? Usually the voice I hear in my head isn't necessarily kind. It kind of shames and blames, and it demands a punishment, because we kind of live in a world that has this like myth of correction through cruelty, and we kind of berate ourselves and we're down on ourselves in the desperate hope that if we make the mistake hurt enough, we'll never repeat it again. And, you know, we kind of tell ourselves this false narrative: this happened because you are essentially unfit, or you're stupid, or you're dumb, or, you know, and that's kind of a shame. You know, it just shows, you know, we say things that blame ourselves, and we say things like that to ourselves. It's negative self-talk. But does it actually work? Or does it just leave us feeling bad? So we're trying today to look at a different level, an alternative level of exploring accountability, and try to move away from the toxic ways of like shame and blame and punishment. Something called like inspired accountability. It was what this article talks about here. And so we want to try to start to understand the difference between punishing someone, including ourselves, and allowing our logical consequences. So punishment is vindictive. It's a form of mistreatment that doesn't care about your growth. It only cares about making you pay for the error, kind of. But logical consequences are different. They aren't meant to mistreat. They're kind of designed to protect and to nurture in a way. So let's imagine a relationship where one partner has been keeping secrets. A logical consequence might be that the other partner chooses to withhold a bit of trust for a while, not to punish, but simply because trust needs time to be rebuilt safely. Or we can look at workplaces. If a manager notices a team member isn't meeting expectations, punishment looks like publicly demoting or berating them. A logical consequence, however, looks like temporarily reducing their workload and pairing them with a mentor. This goal isn't to inflict suffering, it's to provide the scaffolding needed to kind of build competence. So when we apply this to our own selves and our own mental health, it'll definitely cause a positive change. So it'll look like maybe perhaps when we make a mistake, we don't need to lock ourselves into this mental cage of self-punishment. Instead, you simply pause, look at the logical consequence, say, what support do I need to navigate this safely next time? Or basically, how can I improve next time in a constructive manner? So this in practice has basically like 4 directions: holding ourselves accountable, holding others accountable, receiving accountability, and witnessing someone else take responsibility. True accountability kind of isn't about making excuses or, you know, long justifications. It's really simple. And they talk about these 3 clear dimensions: cognitive, behavioral, and emotional. So let's recall, let's say I agree to have this project to you by Tuesday. That's the cognitive belief, but I actually delivered it late on Wednesday. That's the behavioral reality, and I'm so sorry for not renegotiating the timeline with you. That's the emotional repair. So it's clean. There's no self, kind of disrespect. It's not shame, I'm a terrible person. It's just facts, basically, what actually is. And we can kind of do this to hold someone else accountable too. So we agree to spend time alone every evening, the cognitive. When we ride with your friends in the car, the behavioral. I felt really hurt and disappointed, the emotional. So from there, we can kind of move on to a resolution. So in the future, if plans change, please let me know in advance. That's what that might look like. If someone comes to us with an account, our only job is to provide an emotional boundary. And we can practice reflective listening. We say, I'm hearing you say that you felt let down. The boundary allows us to kind of hear their experience of us without letting their disappointment define our core worth as a human being. When we kind of take away the shame, in our lives, there's less fear too. When people know that they won't be berated for a blunder, the baseline of anxiety drops, and it gives the option of providing more trust, because the kindness becomes the unspoken rule, and accountability is free from mistreatment. People's motivation to be accountable actually increases, and they don't feel like they need to hide their mistakes in the dark. And I think about how this kind of can impact creativity as well. When we make peace with making mistakes, our willingness to take risks goes higher. And like innovation and collaboration flourish because we aren't afraid of looking foolish in front of other people. And I fully believe that, because a person who, like me, deals with like anxiety and stuff really does need that kind of level of accountability. Like, I think I hold myself accountable for a lot of things more now, and that's learned, because for a while I didn't hold myself accountable. I wouldn't take responsibility, and it was just negative of me to do. But now I'm very much more so like, I'm going to take accountability for this, and that's on me, and what can I do next time to improve it and not beat myself up so bad, because I used to beat myself up so bad. And it's really important, I feel like, for our emotional peace. Inspired accountability kind of dissolves that passive aggressiveness, and we don't feel the need to avoid, or defer responsibility or withhold information out of hidden anger. So yeah, we don't have to break ourselves or each other to fix what went wrong. And we just have to be like, take accountability for it, know you messed up, and understand where you messed up so you can do better next time. That's really what it's about. I'm happy and grateful for being progressive in my goals for 2026. I believe in reevaluating my goals and modifying them accordingly, instead of trying to achieve something that I know I'm not going to do. I do look at this. I don't look at this as a failure, or look at changing goals and stuff as a failure, or not having achieved goals as a failure. I look at my goal list as this evolving thing, allowing myself to realize I'm currently at this and point, and I need to move forward on from here. Do I still keep this goal, or do I change this goal, or do I remove this goal? And I think that's more intelligent of me. I think I'm most proud of myself for having stuck to working on my script. I'm in like the final episodes of my script, and I'm just extremely excited that I've been intentional and diligent on working on it as much as I have been consistent with it. The quote, "The finest souls are those who gulp pain and avoid it making others taste it." I think this quote speaks for itself. There's nothing I could add, I feel like, that would do it any more justice than it already has. But yeah, before I go, be sure to check out the show notes. Also, check out my books on Amazon titled Poems to Cry to in the Dark and Love Letters Never Sent to Myself, and leave a 5-star rating. Other than that, I don't have anything else. I'm glad you're still here, and I hope you have the day you deserve. Bye!
One giant leap